This is the section on the Sui, Tang, and Song dynasties from pages 518 up to page 523. Um, Heads up that while this reading is going on, you're going to want to pause because there's a lot of different text features that will be beneficial to you to get a visual of what each of these dynasties did. And there's also a huge opportunity for you to find evidence around political achievements as well as technology achievements. Um, Looks like there is also some economic achievement there as well. And so, my guess as well that there is going to be social kind of embedded underneath all of that. But let's find out. This begins with the section in blue called Disorder and Reunification. When the Han Dynasty collapsed, China split into several rival kingdoms, each ruled by military leaders. Historians sometimes call the time of disorder that followed the collapse of the Han Dynasty period of disunion. It lasted from 220 Common Era to 589 in the Common Era. War was common during the period of disunion. At the same time, however, Chinese culture spread. New groups moved into China from nearby areas. Over time, many of these groups adopted Chinese customs and became Chinese themselves. The Sui dynasty. Finally, after centuries of political confusion and cultural change, China was reunified. The man who finally ended the period of disunion was a northern ruler named Yang Jian. In 589 Common Era, he conquered the south, unified China, and created the Sui dynasty. The Sui dynasty did not last long, only from 589 to 618. However, during that time, its leaders restored order and began the Grand Canal, a canal linking northern and southern China. This can be seen on the map on page 519. The Sui dynasty was followed by the Tang, which would rule for nearly 300 years. As you can see on the map above, China grew under the Tang dynasty to include much of eastern and central Asia. Historians view the Tang dynasty as a golden age. Tang rulers conquered many lands, reformed the military, and created law codes. The Tang period also saw great advances in art. Some of China's finest poets, for example, lived during this time. The Tang dynasty also included the only woman to rule in China, Empress Wu. Her methods were sometimes vicious, but she was intelligent and talented. After the Tang dynasty fell, China entered another brief period of chaos and disorder with separate kingdoms competing for power. As a result, this period in China's history is called the Five Dynasties and Ten Kingdoms. The order only lasted for 53 years, though, from 907 to 960 in the Common Era. In 960, China was again reunified, this time by the Song dynasty. Like the Tang, the Song ruled for about 300 years until 1279 Common Era. Also, like the Tang, the Song dynasty was a time of great achievement. Throughout the Tang and Song dynasties, much of the food grown on China's farms flowed into the growing cities and towns. China's cities were crowded, busy places. Shopkeepers, government officials, doctors, artisans, entertainers, religious leaders, and artists made them lively places as well. China's capital and largest city of the Tang dynasty was Chang'an, a huge bustling trade center now called Xi'an. With a population of more than a million, it was by far the largest city in the world. Chang'an, like other trading cities, had a mix of people from many cultures: China, Korea, Persia, Arabia, and Europe. It was also known as a religious and philosophical center not just for Buddhists and Taoists, but for Asian Christians as well. Cities continued to grow under the Song. Several cities, including the Song capital, Kaifeng, had about a million people. A dozen more cities had populations of close to half a million. Trade grew along with Chinese cities. This trade, combined with China's agricultural base, made China richer than ever before. Much trade took place within China itself, traders used the country's rivers, to ship goods on barges and ships. The Grand Canal, a series of waterways that linked major cities, carried a huge amount of trade goods, especially farm products. Construction on the canal had begun during the Sui dynasty. During the Tang dynasty, it was improved and expanded. The Grand Canal allowed the Chinese to move goods and crops from distant agricultural areas into the cities. The Chinese also carried on trade with other lands and peoples. During the Tang dynasty, most foreign trade was over land routes, leading into India and Southwest Asia. Though Chinese traders also went to Korea and Japan in the east, the Chinese exported many goods, including tea, rice, spices, and jade. However, one export was especially important: silk. So valuable was silk that the Chinese kept the method of making it secret. In exchange for their exports, the Chinese imported different foods, plants, wool, glass, and precious metals like gold and silver. During the Song dynasty, sea trade became more important. China opened its Pacific ports to foreign traders. The sea trade routes connected China to many other countries. During this time, the Chinese also developed another valuable product, a thin, beautiful type of pottery called porcelain. All of this trade helped to create a strong economy as a result. Merchants became important members of Chinese society. During the Song dynasty, also a result of the growth of trade and wealth, the Song invented the world's first system of paper money in the 900s. While China grew rich economically, its cultural riches also increased. In literature, art, and science, China made huge advances. The artists and writers of the Tang Dynasty were some of the China's greatest. Wu Daozi painted murals that celebrated Buddhism and nature. Li Bo and Du Fu wrote poems that readers still enjoy for their beauty. This poem by Li Bo expresses the homesickness that one feels late at night. Before my bed, there is a bright moonlight, so that it seems like frost on the ground. Lifting my head, I watch the bright moon. Lowering my head, I dream that I'm home. Also noted for its literature, the Song period produced Li Qingzhao, perhaps China's greatest female poet. She once said that the purpose of her poetry was to capture a single moment in time. Artists of both the Tang and Sung dynasties made exquisite objects in clay. Tang figurines of horses clearly show the animal's strength. Sung artists made porcelain items covered in a pale green glaze called celadon. Before I read further, I'd like you to maybe pause this recording and look at the Chinese inventions. There are a total of 7 important inventions. The Tang and Sung dynasties produced some of the most remarkable and most important inventions in human history. Some of these inventions influenced events around the world. According to the legend, a man named Kai Lung invented paper in the year 105 during the Han Dynasty. A later Tang invention built on this achievement: woodblock printing, a form of printing in which an entire page is carved into a block of wood. The printer applies the ink to the block and presses the paper against the block to create a printed page. The world's first known printed book was printed in this way in China in 868 Common Era. Another invention of the Tang Dynasty was gunpowder. Gunpowder is a mixture of powders used in guns and explosives. It was originally used only in fireworks, but it was later used to make small bombs and rockets. Eventually, gunpowder was used to make explosives, firearms, and cannons. Gunpowder dramatically altered how wars were fought and, in doing so, changed the course of human history. One of the most useful achievements of Tang China was the perfection of the magnetic compass. This instrument, which uses Earth's magnetic field to show direction, revolutionized travel. A compass made it possible to find direction more accurately than ever before. The perfection of the compass had far-reaching effects. Explorers the world explorers the world over used the compass to travel vast distances. Both trading ships and warships also came to rely on the compass for their navigation. Thus, the compass has been a key factor in some of the most important sailing voyages in history. The Song dynasty also produced many important inventions. Under the Song, the Chinese invented movable type. Movable type is a set of letters or characters that are used to print books. Unlike the blocks used in block printing, movable type can be rearranged and reused to create new lines of text and different pages. The Song dynasty also introduced the concept of paper money. People were used to buying goods and services with bulky coins made of metals such as bronze, gold, and silver. Paper money was far lighter and easier to use. As trade increased and many people in China grew rich, paper money became more popular.